I apologize on behalf of my brother Okechukwu, because when I called him to speak, he didn't say what he was supposed to speak, so I have to recall him to reorient people on why we are here. So please, can you come forward, Okechukwu? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tendai. I'm here on the second missionary journey. This one is not a biblical one, per se. It's an impromptu from Tendai. And why we are here? Actually, we're here for the second edition of the Pan-African Lecture. Africa World has a condensed message, and this message is all about telling our story. There's a proverb that we coined as our condensed message, which says, unless the hunted gives his account, the story of the hunt will always favor the hunter. Sorry for anyone calling me at this moment is wasting his or her time. Because I have to finish telling you why we are here before I pick up any call. And why are we here? Continuing, it's not about still telling our story as Africans, not only as Africans, as people who are in this part of the world. We have a message to give, we have a story to tell, we have a history of development, a history of creation of the world, a history that most people of the world doesn't know. It's unfortunate that if you come to this part of the world, some doesn't really know about Africa, but there's a lot who want to know about Africa. That they are encumbered by certain inhibitions, like the media, and you can tell me witness that if you watch television from today till kingdom come, unless things are going to change, the images of Africa and things about Africa are not really what it's all about. We have our bad sides, we have our good sides, like every other community and every other nation. And this is what Africa World is all about. This lecture today is all about telling our story. We want to bring our heroes back, those who really suffered, labored for Africa. We want to bring them with our message and our practical techniques for a brighter future for Africa. Not only for Africa, for the world, because Africa is the cradle, the birthplace of the world. And as we are seeing it today, it's going to be the end of it. Because all the resources are now in Africa. Those who know what is happening are rushing to invest. Those who want to get life stories, things that have been unheard of, move to Africa. That is the nucleus of the point. And Africa World is built around selling the African story in a positive light, telling the world what they don't know, bringing our cultures, bringing our dances, bringing our resources, bringing our humanities, bringing ourselves, laying ourselves bare. Let the people know the truth, because the truth will always set you free. That is the most important part of the Pan-African Lecture. And today's occasion, we are doing a fundraising. Not only the fundraising, we are recognizing special people in our community which you have nominated. We sent messages around across Ireland, and people were nominated, people that have been doing special things in the lives of the African community and Irish community. We want to recognize them. You nominated them, and we are recognizing them, making today a special day for them, celebrating with them, encouraging them that whatever you are doing, there's a third eye watching. Why are we Africa World Newspaper? We are watching on behalf of our people. We are trying to energize our society, to make everywhere busy, to recreate what we are known for, to show the world from our point of view. you what it means to be African. And these people are worthy examples. You get to know them one by one, and we'll be doing a fundraising. We'll be running a free newspaper for the past 2 years, and more than half. And it has been tough. You know the recession, but we will beat the recession. So today, we'll probably be doing fundraising and many other things. Just sit down, as I said before, don't drink the mineral because the wine is coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, over there. It's my pleasure to introduce Paul Kelly. Paul Kelly is the chief editor of He's a writer. You look like a chief editor actually. But I don't know how they look like, but you do look like one. So you're very welcome. But Paul Kelly is also studying at the Trinity, he's studying politics and economics and specifically focusing on African politics. So he's going to introduce the citation. Thank you very much.
Our guest lecturer today is one of the foremost experts in Tanzanian history and politics. He is a board of directors member of the Africa Center and has written numerous papers on Tanzanian democracy and has earned 4 scholarships to universities around the world. He has 3 master's degrees, having studied topics as diverse as globalization, democratization, and international law. He has also recently completed a PhD in political science after producing a dissertation on the legitimacy and basis of Tanzanian democracy. Having studied the work of Julius Nyerere in depth, he has consistently placed his leadership in the context of the Pan-African movement, which he was so instrumental in. It is truly difficult to consider anyone who may be better placed to understand the work of President Nyerere and his vision for Africa's sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to introduce to you today Dr. David Nyaluke.
Thank you very much. That's a very kind citation. And having finished my thesis, this is really the most kindest introduction. Perhaps, I don't know, I might get more, but I think this is the best I've got so far. So, thank you. Thank you very much. I have to begin by saying thanks a lot to the organizers of this event, and also thank you very much for all of you for taking your time to come to participate in this event and to listen to this lecture. I'm also grateful to be given this opportunity to talk about Julius Nyerere, his ideas, and his vision for sustainable Africa. I have to say, many people that know Nyerere, many people that have heard of Nyerere, many of them would be passionate about him. And I think to the argumentative myself, I must admit that I'm one of the most passionate people about Nyerere. And having been given this opportunity, I must calm myself, because otherwise my passion might run out and then I might not even be able to present the very ideas and the very vision of the man. So I'll take my time and also take your time, and I hope we are going to have a good deliberation. And because I am so passionate about Nyerere, I won't actually begin talking about Nyerere himself. I'll begin talking about sustainability and the sustainability of Africa. What is it? What is it, the sustainability of Africa? And later on, I will say about the ideas, the vision of Nyerere, but also not only the ideas and the vision, but also in practice. How did this man bring these ideas in practice? So it's not only about the vision and the ideas and the theories. It's about practically how did he do it, and whether from his example in Tanzania we can appreciate that at least he built some foundation for sustainable society in Tanzania, and that can be an example for Africa. to begin with the question of sustainability. What is a sustainable society? What is a sustainable nation? Can anyone help me? Maybe my friend who gave the citation. What is a sustainable society? One that is self-reliant. That's very interesting. I take it out of that. That's very, very interesting. Anyone else can help me with what is sustainable nation? Okachu, our editor. What is a sustainable nation, my friend?
You just summarize reliability, to have sufficient things you need to exist.
To have sufficient things you need to exist. To have sufficient things you need to exist. May I hear from maybe our sisters? What is a sustainable society, sustainable nation?
It's a nation where
Thank you, ma'am.
everybody is interdependent and where the activity can be maintained over a period of time
Probably.
to development or
Yes, interdependence, long-term, helping the community and everybody. I think that sums up a sustainable society, a sustainable nation. Now, my own definition, which is not really diverging from what you have said, is that a sustainable nation or sustainable society is a one that has been able to meet at minimum the needs of every member of that society. And I would say a sustainable nation is the one that has been able to build an education system, it has been to build a health system, it has been able to build an economic system that meets the needs of everyone at minimum at least, equally. And then it strives towards equity as it goes along. But at minimum, equally, everybody is able to afford their life within that community, within that society. That's what I define as a sustainable nation. And I will sum up again by saying that sustainable society or communities, they have three key systems. The first system is a political system that enables everybody to participate in decision making. It's a political system that tends towards a true democracy, where everybody is given an opportunity to participate in saying what has to go on in the society. That's number one feature, political system. The second one is an economic system. An economic system, as we say, the one that meets needs of everybody equally at minimum, and then it tends towards equity as it goes along. And thirdly, I would say this society must have a sort of social system, a system of ideals, a system of values that kind of bring unity among the people of that society. Because if there is no unity in that society, if there is no solidarity in that society cannot stand. It's a house divided among itself. A house divided among itself cannot stand. There must be values, ideas that bring the people together, the culture that bring the people together. Then you create a sustainable society. I think I'm fine with that. I think I can get away with that. Can I?
Yes.
Thank you. So the next question that I asked before, as I said, talking about Nyerere, is whether in Africa we have created so far, we have been able to create sustainable societies. Have we been able to create so far sustainable societies in Africa? Most countries in Africa in this decade, they are about 50 years of independence. They are relatively young nations. Ireland will be 100 years of independence in 2016. But the first country in Africa to get independence, which was Ghana, got independence in 1957. So in 2007, Ghana was only 50 years of independence. That was the first country in Africa to get independence from colonialism. So only 50 years of independence. And then other countries followed on. Tanzania was 50 years of independence, 2011. Other countries followed. Nigeria was a few years, 50 years. Everybody was celebrating 50 years, 50 years, 50 years, 50 years. So that's independence 50 years. Have we been able in Africa to create sustainable societies within those 50 years of independence. So I don't want to be the one that is holding a big stick and beating African countries. Okay, I'll ask yourselves. I have some people from Ghana. I won't take you on country. Maybe I'll take somebody from Ghana, from Nigeria. There's some people from Nigeria here. I locate here. I don't like to disturb Rotimi, our councillor. So I will pick Nosa, my brother Nosa. Can you tell us that 50 years after independence in Nigeria, has Nigeria been able to create a sustainable society, as we've defined a sustainable society?
I wouldn't say so. It depends on the states.
It depends on the states.
Nigeria have 36 states. So the bodies, the states are trying, but the federal is still lacking. So at the moment, few states have a sustainable society in terms of healthcare and equality that we need of the next generation.
Thank you very much. So there is a mixed picture. There is a mixed picture about creating sustainability 50 years on. I don't know if I can ask someone from Ghana among our participants. Okay, I have a brother from Congo. My brother from Congo. Can you help us? Congo, so far, 50 years after independence? Not yet. Affirmatively, no. That's not a mixed picture, but it's affirmatively no. I have another brother here from Guinea. How is Guinea?
Guinea is doing well. Guinea has started doing well. Just after Ghana, Guinea became one of the very earliest countries in Africa to become independent
Yes,
in 1958. But like whether Africa has come to have a sustainable society, my answer to that will say I will definitely respond that no.
No. The answer is no.
Total answer. And if I take the case of Guinea, it is only after 55 or after, let's say, after 53 years of independence. It's only 2 years ago that Guinea could organize the first democratically elected president. So it's been 3 weeks that we have, organized the legislative election, and up to today we haven't got a result. So how can election be organized and within 3 weeks not having the final result? So there are still a lot of issues to be looked at in that direction. So Africa becoming sustainable, having visionary societies, it's still a struggle.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a mixed picture. I think if we look at various countries, what will happen, we shall have a mixed picture about the creation of sustainable society, both in terms of politics, in terms of the economy, and in terms of building the values that bring unity among the people. So that's 50 years on in Africa. And leave the old problems. Africa as well, at the moment, is facing another bigger problem. The other bigger problem is that the population of Africa is increasing. When Tanzania got independence in 1961, there was only 9 million people. Today, Tanzania is about 40 million people. So that population has increased almost 5 times, almost 4 or 5 times. You see? And the population that we have now in most of the African countries is young people. These young people need to be educated. They need to be fed. These young people, when they finish education, they need to find opportunities to get work. These are true problems that we are going to face, Africa is going to face. And it won't be sustainable if it won't be able to solve these problems. The same is happening. The other challenge that's happening in Africa is that cities are growing. At independence and after independence, there was a lot of villages. Many people were living in rural areas doing agriculture. But now many people are moving in the cities. So if they're moving in the cities, they need to find food in the city. They need to find shelter in the city. They need to find healthcare and all the other needs that human beings need. So these are a kind of new challenges that are emerging in Africa. And when we're talking about sustainability of Africa, these are the lead issues that we need to consider. So, having outlined the challenges we have and where we are, so let me come to the very subject which I'm very passionate about. That is the subject of NYERERE. But also, before that, before I introduce that subject, I would like to say the fact that we need to have democracy in Africa, and the fact that we need to have a fair economic system, and the fact that we need to have a uniting ideology and a vision is not only something that we need to discover from somewhere outside. I have to bring you back to the struggle for independence. The struggle of independence is the very womb, is the womb where the African nations were born. And the struggle for independence was about removing colonialism so that African people can govern themselves democratically. Because our forefathers, including NYERERE, they made an argument that colonialism is not fair because it is anti-democratic. The colonial people, when they came, they just displaced the Africans. They began ruling the place. And you know what? They created the so-called legislative councils. Now in Swahili, those councils, we call them baraza, okay? And they also meeting, where people meet to discuss issues of the society, we call them mikutano. So, to the Africans, it was unimaginable that you have a legislative council where there is no African is represented there. Because in the way of Africa, the society was governed by people participating in the barazas, in the council, whether they were elders on behalf of the people, or where it was the people directly. So when the colonists formed this legislative council, and there was no African in them, Africans said, no, this is not democracy. And when NYERERE and the other people went to tell the people that, you know, this is not democracy, people understood that. So they said, okay, the agenda now is to remove colonialism, because colonialism is not a democratic regime. There are no Africans in the council. They are governing without the consent of the people. Now the second issue, so democracy, I'm saying, was a promise of independence. It's not someone who will give democracy to Africa as a favor. It's not that the idea of democracy is foreign from the African people. No, the African people knew democracy. The African people fought for democracy. That's why they removed colonialism. Now the second issue that people are knowing about colonialism, which is about creating the economic sustainability, is the whole question that the colonial regime was running the economy without benefiting the African people. They took all the wealth abroad, all the minerals, they taxed people, and I think taxing, apart from taking minerals, but taxation was the most annoying thing for most of the Africans. And the people sometimes had to run out of their houses to run away from a taxman when they came to collect the tax. And this was really annoying. And they were paying tax, but this tax was not contributing to the development of the place. So the argument was that we remove the colonial people, and then we are going to have a fair economy for everyone within our countries. So that was the idea. So when we are arguing about having a fair economic system, we are not arguing for favor. This is the very idea by which independence of Africa was fought for. So if Mugabe, for example, Mugabe doesn't have to give the Zimbabwean people a good economic situation as a favor. The Zimbabwean people have the right from Mugabe as their leader to get a fair economic system. The Nigerians, the same. They have the right from their leaders to get a fair economic system. It's not a fair, because these ideas are the very ideas that informed the birth of those nations. And then the third issue is about creating those values that that unite us together. Now, colonialism was hated because it divided the people. Okay? It divided the people. And it divided people because if you divide the people, then you can rule over them. But then the Africans discovered that, no, we are all under the same fate. So unity had to be gotten, and after getting the unity, then people were able to fight for the independence of their countries. And the people thought that we need to have unity so that then we can be one people to remove colonialism. But after removing colonialism, we should maintain that unity so that then we can develop and create, developed society within our communities. So I'm arguing that the three issues, a democratic system, an economic system, and a system that unites the people, they are not things that we can take from outside. They are really fundamental to the very fight of independence, to the very birth of the African nations. Now, it will be a paradox then, if you ask me. It is a paradox then that if independence was fought on the promise of democracy, if independence was fought on the promise of equitable economic system, and if independence was fought on the promise of a united country in Africa, then why, until now, 50 years after independence, we have not achieved those three main objectives? Why we have not done that? And I think a main reason why we have not done that is because of leadership. And there could be other many reasons why we have not done that. But today, because we are discussing NYERERE, so we will stick on the issue of leadership. And now I'm going to explain why then NYERERE was a great leader and why he made it. So I will begin. What was NYERERE's contribution then to creating democracy? To creating democracy in his own country. Tanzania got independence in 1961. When we got independence, when the colonial people were leaving, they created a sort of democratic systems. So we had a sort of multi-party system where people could vote who goes to government, etc. Okay? Now, most countries, including Tanzania, most leaders, including NYERERE, they argued for a political system that would be one-party state. Okay? Just that there will be only one party in the country, and that one party will enable for democratic participation of the people. Now, maybe to the people from Ireland, that might sound a bit difficult. How can you have democracy in a one-party state? But not only NYERERE, but also many African leaders, they pointed out that we need to have a one-party state because one-party state is not necessarily undemocratic. You can have democracy within the one-party state. But also they pointed out that if we create a multi-party system at the very beginning of our nations, those multi-party systems, or those multi-party, those many parties will divide the nation. Okay? They will divide us because this one will be pulling this way and that one will be pulling that way. And in the end, there won't be a united nation as many people in Africa wanted. So, interesting is that many leaders won the argument for one-party state. So, people allowed for one-party state to exist. Because for many African people, it didn't matter. Before that, they lived in one community, they had one leader, or they had one council, and they all came, discussed matters, and agreed. So if the leader is saying that we are going to have a one-party state, where we will all come, discuss matters, agree, what's the problem? So people agreed that, okay, we get you can institute the one-party state. So NYERERE, and here is what is made the difference between NYERERE and the other leaders when they introduced one-party state in their countries. The difference between Nyerere and other leaders is that Nyerere took the idea of political participation, of building that one-party state, very seriously. You know, when we get independence, it would have been easy. It would have been easy for anyone who was a president or for anyone who were leaders to just control the state, control the government, you know. But to Nyerere, he kept true to this promise that, okay, we will keep the one-party state and we will make sure that people participate in politics within that one-party state. That one-party state is really democratic. Okay, so how then did he make it democratic? The political party in Tanzania was organized in all the levels. It had the national level, okay? It had the regional level. It had the district level. It had the village level. And if you are in a city or in a town, you were a member of that political party within your street. Okay? So in that way, everybody had an input in what was going on within the politics. And I think important as well is that the party had ideas. It had ideas, and it was trying to put forward those ideas to the people. That was very important, because if you leave the political activity where you put forward ideas, but also allow the other people to put forward their ideas, then what is left is that you are only left with the government, which is just governing. Now, if you go in Tanzania today, people make a big distinction between the party and the government. The party we call it chama, and the government we call it serikali. Now, serikali or government, to the mind of the people, was like the colonial thing, because the colonial thing was running the things by the government. So the government has said you have to pay the tax. You have to pay the tax. If the government says you have to pay the tax, you have to pay the tax. Okay? If the government says you have to go and dip your kettle, you have to go and dip your kettle. There is no, if the government says, what the government says is a law. So if you have then the political wing, which is the chama, the party does not rule by order. It does not rule by decree. It rules by convincing the people. So in Tanzania, what happened is that we had, on one hand, the government would say, you pay the tax and you pay the tax. You dip the kettle, you dip the kettle. But on the other hand, we had the party which said, okay guys, let's come and discuss. What's the problem here? Now Nyerere was very clever in that sense, because he said, okay guys, we have two instruments here. We have the party and we have the government. Now, the government is not above the party. The party must be above the government. Okay, so you have here something that everybody can come and participate, and this Nyerere, this was to be the most important thing that will give orders to the government. So I think in that way, Nyerere created an excellent system of politics in Tanzania, of participation and a democracy. I think if that's not clear, I can elaborate more in the question, okay? But I think I've tried my best as to how that functioned in terms of democracy in Tanzania. So that one-party state in Tanzania existed in Tanzania until 1992. It's only in 1992 that's when we changed the system from the one-party to the multi-party system. But I would argue that the system Nyerere created of the party and the government served Tanzania well, because we did not experience the conflict, the political conflict that many countries experience. So in that area, that would be the first contribution of Nyerere. Now, interesting for you. The next bit that I will say, I think is the most interesting, because that concerns the economy. That concerns the economy. Because it will be fine, okay, you do the politics and everything, but when you go home, you know, the leaders and their people are the ones that benefit from the economy. But to Nyerere, that was not the case. The issue was that, for him, was that he made sure that Tanzania creates a system where the economy benefits everyone equally. Now, these ideas to Nyerere, they didn't come overnight. We just didn't get independence and immediately instituted this system. It took time for him to study how to go about this. And it was in 1967 by the so-called Arusha Declaration. That's when Nyerere created and rolled out a policy which was to make Tanzania have an economic system that would be fair for everyone. Now, I will go in my notes here, and I will read to you some of the issues that helped Nyerere in this ideology. So, normally, in many countries we've seen, economy is about the benefit of the leaders and the benefit of the people that surround them. But to Nyerere, this is what he had to say to the leaders, to anyone who wanted to be a leader in Tanzania. So he said, if you want to be a leader of Tanzania, this is what you have to do. You have to be a peasant or you have to be a worker. So you shouldn't be a businessman, because businessmen are interested in politics, are interested in profit. So if you want to be a leader in Tanzania, you have to be either someone who is just working for yourself in the farm, or you are just a worker. So businessmen were not into the politics. And secondly, he said that a leader must not have a share in any company. If you are a leader, then you have to concentrate on leadership. You shouldn't be having shares in Shell, or you shouldn't have shares in that company and that company. And then he said that no leader will be receiving two salaries. You will just have the one salary from your leadership. And thirdly, he said that the leader must not own, this was a bit extreme now. He said you cannot own a house that you are going to rent. So basically he was saying that anyone who is interested in being a capitalist, they should not come near leadership. And I think this was very important, because if you have leaders mixing their business and the business of the state, then that's where you have conflict of interest. And that conflict of interest is what then becomes and brings out corruption. Because these people who are supposed to be the one protecting the interests of everyone, they are involved in businesses. They are involved in the money-making business, and they use the state for their own advantage. So for Nyerere, it was to be a leader, you have to be clean. You have to be devoted to the safety of the state. And he gave leaders a year. He said, if you want to be a leader, you have a year to decide to be a leader or to continue with their own business. So I would say in Tanzania, by demarcating the politics and the business, Nyerere made an important contribution to stopping corruption in that country. And he enabled the economy to be beneficial to all the people. In my paper, which is available in the book that they produced, the program book that they produced, I elaborated more how he also made sure this economy was beneficial to everyone. Because to Nyerere was that all the economy was to be run by the government, by the state. Okay? Run by the state for the benefit of everyone. So that was a bit extreme, you can say, but that's what he tried to put in place. And I think Tanzania by 1985, it wasn't a rich nation, but everybody had something. Everybody had food, everybody had possibility free to send their children to school, everybody could get medication in the hospital, and everybody could live decently in their village and have a land to cultivate because of that Nyerere's voice. And then finally, because my time I think is nearly out, because I think I will get time to answer questions. Finally, I would say the other contribution of Nyerere is the ideas of how African people can be united and how we can work together as people within our community. Because my friends, end of the day, if you are Irish people and you don't have ideals and the values and the culture that brings you together, you will fall. Because when things become tough, when things become hard, you go to those values and say, hey, what is to be Irish? And then you use those values to come back. I'm a fan of looking at elections. And I watch elections, mostly American elections. Every 4 years, I don't know, 5 years, every 4 years, the American people who come to contest for leadership, they always come to remind Americans what is to be America. What is to be America? Even though America, say under Bush, America fell down. It fell down. And then you had Obama and the other people saying, guys, America can rise again. What is to be America? And that idea, what is to be American, unites everyone, excites everyone, and then they rise up again. Now, in Africa, we need to have the same values. In Tanzania, I tell you, with the idea of Ujamaa, Lili Nyerere brought that thing, that vision, that idea to Tanzanians. Tanzanians know what is to be a Tanzanian. What is to be a Tanzanian? They know if a leader is messy, they know that this is not Tanzania. This thing that this leader is doing is not Tanzania. Or if something is going on, they know that, well, this is not the way it should be, because he infused those Ujamaa values. Now, Nyerere was not a genius to take this Ujamaa thing from his pocket. He took this from the African way of life. From the African way of life. Africans lived by solidarity. You know, if there was a widow in the African community, people, they would work in their farms, but then they would remember to go and help this widow to cultivate the farm. All the men will come, they will go to this widow, the widow will be at home, they prepare the food, they will go to the farm of the widow, they will cultivate the farm of the widow. That's African solidarity. And the same, if there was a project to be done for the community, all people would come forward and they would do the job to help their community. And then Nyerere told the Tanzanian people, this is the value that our nation will be led. This is the value our nation will be led. And they infused that idea to the Tanzanian people. And the Tanzanian people until today, even though they are a poor nation, but they go proud with that sense of togetherness, that sense of that we are in solidarity. And I think that's very important, because at the end of the day, as a people, you need to have those ideals, you need to have those values that will take you in the hard times. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, I'm very passionate about this subject, and I think I've only opened a small box of this. But I think if I'm allowed, we will be here until morning. So I will end here, and if there are any questions, you are welcome to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. David, for your wonderful lecture, Julius Nyerere and the path towards African sustainability in the 21st century. For some of us who grew up in the mid-70s, and of some of us who attended primary school, Julius Nyerere would readily come to mind when you are told to name 5 African heads of states. He was a very simple man. He was fondly known as Walimu, the great teacher, if I'm correct. And he was a Pan-Africanist to the core. He led a very simple life, an austere life, and today, Tanzania will be a model of democracy in Africa. And if you haven't been to any beautiful or nice place in Africa, take a trip to Arusha. On that note, please, ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for Dr. David. And I don't know, are you ready to take questions? That's fine. So, ladies and gentlemen, okay, I have a lady there. Okay, can you come up here, please? The microphone can see if you can come up there.
I have a question.
Oh, you can't. Sorry. Can you come up here?
Thank you very much, sir, for talking about a Pan-Africanist leader. I have so much respect for leaders like that. Leaders like Thomas Sankara, Joras Lenyenge. But I have a question. What's wrong with our own present leaders in Africa? Yeah, because there is Fela Kuti once said, "Coffin for bad leaders." I'm saying coffin for bad leaders.
Do we have another question? Dr. David is writing down. Thank you. He wants to take them at a go. Any more questions? Okay, we have a gentleman here. Please, could you come forward?
My name is Dr. John from Tanzania, so I'm a bit biased. There's a lady there from Uganda. She was shy to ask the question. His question is that, after talking about sustainability, is Tanzania sustainable? I gave her an answer, but that she wants to get it straight.
Thank you. One or two more questions. Okay, another gentleman.
Hi. My question will be actually around international development. The aid, the different type of aid that we are receiving on the continent to establish, sustainable societies. Do we really need those? Like I'm talking more precisely about financial aid. I do know for sure that technical assistance, transfer of technologies, we definitely need those. Or do we globally need international aid on the other side of the world to really establish a real development, a visionary one?
Okay, the last question from the lady. Thank you.
Hi, my question is, NYERERE's ideologies, do you think we can tackle them in today's world?
Thank you very much.
Well, these are the most honest questions. The most honest questions. So I'll begin with the first one. What's wrong with our own presidents? What's wrong with our own presidents?
Leaders.
Presidents, leaders. Presidents, leaders. My friends, Nyerere, I think one of the MC mentioned, he was a very humble man. And I think his humbleness made him realize that leadership is about saving the people. If you are a leader, that position of leadership is about saving the people. And that's what made the difference. Nyerere knew who was his master. His master was not someone who paid for Nyerere to become influential. To Nyerere, the master was the people. And I doubt in his mind, I never doubt in my mind that to him every day, question was that, am I saving my people? Am I saving the people? Because I think the problem with the presidents we have now, the problem with the leaders we have now, is that they become kings.
Yeah.
Instead of being servants to us, they become our kings. loyal kingdom. There's Swaziland is a loyal kingdom. But most of the countries, they are people's republics. And so the leaders who are on those governments, they are servants of the people. They are not kings. The problem with our leaders is that they have become kings, they have become masters, instead of being the faithful servants of their people and their communities. That's the problem. Now, is Tanzania sustainable? Is Tanzania sustainable? I will go back to this question. This question is important because Tanzania, if you look at the statistics, Tanzania is a poor country. Is a poor country. But on many senses, Tanzania, with Nyerere, it laid down the foundation for being a sustainable society. Because first of all, it created that value, what is to be a Tanzanian. And every now and then we have leaders, they come, they are corrupt, but we tell them that you are ashamed. You are ashamed. This is not how Tanzania is supposed to be governed. So Tanzania has a point of reference. You come to leadership. There is one guy, he came to leadership. He got 80% of the vote. He got 80% of the vote when he became the president. But 1 year down the line, this president lost the vote and he became only popular by 60%. Only 1 year after. What happened? Because people mentioned, this guy came, we want him to save, and 1 year he has not done something, they broke the popularity down. I'm talking about the current president. I know there could be some problems here and there, how that is happening, but thank you very much. And then, because of those values of Ujamaa Nyerere put, I would argue that Tanzania is sustainable society because it can come back. It has the values. It can always come back. And it is a foundation of peace. It's a very peaceful nation. Tanzania is a very peaceful nation. People in Tanzania recognize one another as compatriots because the economy saved everybody, because everybody participated in politics. And until today, you don't have to be rich to participate in Tanzania politics. I can decide today that I want to go to my village and contest to be the chairman of the village. Or I want to contest to be president. That can happen because in Tanzania we can value that we are equal. We are all Tanzanians and we are all equal. And anybody can stand to the president and ask him, Mr. President, what's that? So I would say, even though the country is poor, it has the foundation of being a sustainable country. And I think that's the most important. As I was saying at the example of America, under Bush and there are many regimes, America falls. But every time they come back, they say, what is to be American? Then they rise. If in Tanzania we say, what is to be Tanzanians? In every election we rise. But only when we are being failed by the leaders. And I think in Africa, in any African countries, if people can rise, say, what is to be Nigerian? And then they rise on that value. Then that is a possibility for a sustainable society. There are many things that Nyerere built, the economic system, all those values, they are still in Tanzania. And it is on what Tanzania is building, even though it's a poor country. So, to answer to that, I would say Tanzania has the foundations for being sustainable. Now it's not sustainable, but it has the basis of being a sustainable nation. To the question of aid, do we need aid? Do we need aid? No. Now, when Nyerere put forward his idea of Ujamaa, it had two pillars. One was Ujamaa, the other one was Kujitegemea. Ujamaa was communalism, socialism. Kujitegemea meant self-reliance. Now, being self-reliant, that is an African value. Yeah. Our forefathers, everybody had to be self-reliant. You have to go to work to the farm, even the kids. If you are a child, they begin by giving you a small hoe. When they go to the farm, when I was a child, they give me a small hoe, we go to farm. They cultivate, I deal with my hoe. I learn to be self-reliant. So Nyerere told the Tanzanian people, this is your country. You have to work hard. Everybody has to work hard to develop this nation. Now, where are we in Africa? Depending on aid. Where are we? Where we lost our value? That we are dependent on aid. Or the whole world knows that Africans are dependent on aid. Even though that's not true. We are not dependent on aid. How much is aid? We are not living on aid. Okay? That's not true to begin with. But there is a talk around that, we are dependent on aid. And I think most people are also dependent on aid because of that idea. And I think that's wrong. We need to be self-reliant. And that is the value from our forefathers, to be self-reliant. As a person, as a family, as a community, and as a nation. You must be self-reliant. Now, Nyerere and other people, they were really struggling to make Africa develop. At that time, there was no technology. There's no technology to make everybody develop fast in the 60s, in the 70s. But my friends, now we have internet. We have all this knowledge available to us. We have many Africans abroad, here and everywhere. Why can't we make Africa the best? Why can't we make Africa the best? We have to do something. We have to contribute. We have to ask our leaders to stop all those politics that are bringing Africa down. And we have to take this on our own shoulders. The contribution of the first generation of Africans to Pan-Africanism was to remove slavery. The second contribution was to remove colonialism, the African slaves, and remove colonialism. The third contribution is upon this generation of ours to bring development to Africa, and to bring democracy to Africa. We have to rise up to that challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to rise up to that challenge. He says, the other question was the final one. Can we apply Nyerere ideas in practice now? Indeed. Indeed, democracy, where everybody is a member of the society, they come to the meeting, they give their ideas. In Tanzania, if you go today, that's what is happening. If you are in the village, there's a village meeting. If you are in the town, there's a town meeting. If they are in the district, there's a district meeting for people to discuss what's going on. That's democracy. So even today, we need to create a democratic system. We can apply Nyerere's idea. Definitely, we can apply Nyerere's idea. The idea that you need to separate between business and the politics. We can apply that. No one can mix their private business with the government business. The president cannot make the business of the state and his business mixed together. That cannot work. So Nyerere said, you have to separate. If you want to be a leader, close down your businesses, come and serve the people. That is, we can apply that. We can definitely apply that. And finally, the Ujamaa value. I'm surprised why not many leaders said, okay, Nyerere said Ujamaa value. Why did they ever say, this is the African way, and they spread that idea to all the African countries? I know Kaunda Nzanga said his policy would be humanism. What is humanism? Ubinadam, okay, so why we say Ubinadam? To be humanity, okay? That is resembles to African, but I think the Ujamaa thing caught up. It caught up with, really linked with the idea of the people. I think in South Africa you have another philosophy called Ubuntu. Ubuntu, okay? Those are the values. So we need to bring those values up. The Ujamaa values, the Ubuntu values, these are the values that can help the African society. And I think we can apply those values. We need to have values, my friends. The values are the ones that will make us aspire more, do more for our community, and make our communities prosperous now and prosperous in the future, because we are people grounded on our values. And especially here, look, this hall has a lot of Africans here. We are in Europe. If we lose our values, what will happen to us and what will happen to our generations to come? What values are they going to have? Are they going to have global values? Are they going to have Irish values? Are they going to have international values? We need to rediscover values. Not only to discover them, but to live them. To live them in our communities. To argue, to stand, and to go forth and put forth. And this is not the duty of leaders. It's the duty of every one of us. Slavery in Africa was ended by everybody participating Independence was gotten by everybody participating, and the development and democracy will be gotten by participation of everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David, for that illuminating and comprehensive discussion. And thank you very much for grounding us back into our African value systems, which is the foundation of our societies, and that has sustained us for a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that this is a space that has been created by Africa World to discuss issues such as this, but also to fundraise. As you are aware, they just produce newspaper weekly and without really anybody paying for it. So really they need to pay staff, they need to continue to be circulating the news within our community, both online and also physically. So they want to continue to print out the newspaper, as well as continuing on with the work and talking about the stuff that's going on in Africa and among Africans here in Ireland. So it's on that basis that you will see that as part of the program we'll be promoting a lot of stuff, and there is a lot of stuff to be promoted. And one of them is this book, as I've already said. This book contains information about some of the award winners and some of the nominated people. It also has the full lecture from Dr. David, and there's more information in it, including the program for today, and it's only costing €10. And just remember that you're contributing to a worthy cause. So it's at the back as well. We're going to be running a raffle as well, and we have raffle tickets, and each raffle ticket is actually €1, but a full half strip is going to be €5. So if you buy a full page of the two, they're going to be €10. So if you see Yolanda at the back and you purchase a ticket for €1 or the full strip for €5, you will be getting a lot of things. We've got artifacts from Africa, but we also have stuff from here in Ireland. What I'm holding now is a storage bag that you can also win, but also I have a very lovely recipe book. It's all about chocolate. So whatever you want to do with chocolate, what you can do with chocolate, you can also, win this one as well. We also have African artifacts such as this one. This full basket, you can also get it. But I have some individual stuff from Africa, like this one from Rwanda. This is absolutely amazing. So it's a souvenir from Rwanda, and we have a couple of them as well. So that's what you can actually get after purchasing the tickets. So Yolanda will send you the tickets. I also have this book. You all know our brother, Dr. Sayambasu, our reverend in the Methodist Church, just across the buildings over there. He's actually here with us. He's sitting somewhere there, all the way from Sierra Leone. He has recently published a book, and he's going to launch it on the 12th of November in the Irish Aid Center. So he has donated this one book, for it to also go. So if you purchase a ticket, you'll probably be able to get something from the book from Sayambasu, and he's detailing his personal experiences. And the book is called Between Africa and the West. It's a story of discovery. And he is also illuminating on some of the issues that Dr. David was talking about in terms of perceptions and how they form how people are perceived, particularly from an African Western perspective. So it's quite a comprehensive and illuminating book that also, is narrated in a very humorous manner. So Dr. Isaiah Mbasuzi, and thank you very much for donating this book to Africa World. There's also guys that are waving consistently to me. The three guys that you can see at the back are the guys that are marketing their after party. So after this formal proceedings, we're going to have an after party, and it's how much? €10, is it? €10. So you purchase those tickets for €10. That's the entry fee, €10 for you to go in and enjoy yourself until tomorrow. So you can see either of those three guys, and it's €10. So we have a lot of stuff, and we're going to continuously be promoting this stuff for the purpose of fundraising for Africa World. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce Anne. Anne, do you want to come forward? Anne is a 14-year-old girl. Anne, or me? Is Anne here? Anne is here. Anne is a 14-year-old girl, and she turns exactly 14 today. It's her birthday, and her mom and her little brother Patrick, they are here to support her. And also, mom wants to also tell us that Anne was born in Rotunda Hospital 14 years ago at exactly 2:45 a.m. So she shares the same birthday as Africa World. So it's for that day. Africa World has given her this card. It has some very, very lovely messages for her as well. So just as a token of appreciation of the fact that your birthday is in that way. So well done. So she's going to tell us the history of Africa World. Thank you.
Thank you. The chairman and the distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my name is Anne O'Mean. This is the history of Africa World newspaper as written by the editor. On the hills of Finglas. The story of Africa World, created to serve and inform, is that of a story out to tell a story. As we do say, unless the hunted gives his account, the story of the hunt will always favor the hunter. We are energized by the more synergizing world, ready to discover our world. We were born to simply tell our African story in a stylish Pan-African culture. As we celebrate another day of Pan-African lecture, we've been given by a young Tanzanian academic, David Nyaluke, titled JULIUS NYERERE and the Path Towards Africa's Sustainability in the 21st Century. We've packed this lecture in a more entertaining way, showing cultural dances and singers from different parts of Africa. We will recognize those who have been nominated for the Community Recognition Awards, including teenagers who are showing talents and more. As we struggle with the currents of globalization, we must not forget the future is Africa, a continent so diverse yet seems like Siamese twins, a place where the story began, and we are seeing it, and where will it end? Africa World organized this lecture as a resource occasion for literal minds, a place for cultural lovers, and source events for teenagers. Born in the hills of Finglas, amidst torrents of collapse, hurricane and mighty battle, I took sail at an appointed time. Strolling down at the glass of Nevin Cemetery downhill, the idea of Africa World gave to the birth. Through the horrible days of recession, we withered through the storm, keeping a alive platform to tell our story in a Pan-African style. This is Africa World. Here is a story of different parts, people from different parts of the world in Africa, spreading the message they embellish. As the Irish will say, "Tá tú fáilte léir chuig an ócáid." You are all welcome to this occasion. Unless the hunter gives his account, the story of the hunter will always favor the hunter. Thank you.